So he might be listening in or what. So okay, so let's start with pig. So I hope you were able to do the Hive assignment. So once Prabjeet starts speaking, I'll ask with him. So basically, is similar to Hive. Pig is another. Hmm, he is now arrived. Okay, let's wait for him. Prabjeet. Okay, so he is there. Okay, Parvija, I am assuming you are there and you are listening us. So I'll start if you. Okay, cool. So basically, similar to Hive, Pig is another way to interact with the Hadoop file system where you don't have to write the big MapReduce codes. So it was started at Yahoo, and more than 30% of the Yahoo jobs still run on Pig. And basically, it gives you pretty good features like join, group by, all those things which you might be requiring in a day-to-day life on the data sets. So, and similar to Hive, you can create your UDFs in Pig also. So basically what happens with the map reduce flow is you have to write map and then reduce and then map and reduce if you have to create chains of data flow. But over here you can basically do not do joins, splits, you can create chains, all those kind of things you can do easily with just few statements of the code. And join, filter, aggregation, sorting, projections, all those kind of features are pretty much required on the data set if you're processing a data set. So writing those things in MapReduce is extremely difficult and you require Java knowledge and the learning curve is pretty high. So that's the reason Yahoo came up with something called Pig, and it's highly used in the industry as compared to Hive also. So basically, let's look at some examples that will give you some basic idea what exactly is Pig, and then we'll look at in detail different syntaxes or different commands which are available with Pig. Okay, so the problem statement is pretty simple. I have a data set. I have to figure out top 10 most visited pages in each category. So मुझे top 10 most visited pages चाहिए different categories में जो मेरे पास data है. So data is something like this. I have the data of the visits. So a user came to this URL at so and so time. User came to this URL at so and so time. So these are the click stream data. Another data set is the URL info that this CNN.com belongs to category news, BBC belongs to category news, Flickr photos, and so on. So I have the data set of click stream, and I have the data set of which URL belongs to which category. Now my problem statement was pretty simple. I have to figure out top 10 most visited pages in each category. So what are the top 10 visited pages in news category? What are the top 10 pages in photos category, and so and so. So if I have to write any program basically to get those top 10 pages, my flow diagram will look something like this. I have to load the widgets, that is this. I have to load widgets. Then I'll group it by URL. Then for each URL, I'll generate a count. I'll merge that thing with the URL info, join both the things. I'll group that thing by category. For each category, I'll generate top 10 URLs and dump that thing, right? So this is a data flow diagram which I'll generate for figuring out top 10 URLs in each category. Be writing it any language, be it Java, be it MapReduce, be it anything, but the data flow diagram would look something like this only. So we can implement it with the help of Pig. We can implement it with the help of MapReduce. And so basically, if I implement it with the help of Pig, it will generate a MapReduce code for me, and that MapReduce code will run on the cluster, and I'll get the data. Or I can even write it with the help of SQL. So this is up to me. So if I write with Pig, let's say how the syntax of the code will look like. So Pig is a scripting language which is very much similar to any other scripting language, but the syntax always differ for different languages. So let's look at how I will write in Pig. So what I did in the data flow diagram is I loaded the visits, then I grouped it by URL, and then for each URL I generated the count. So this each data flow diagram, each step in the data flow diagram which I drawn would be visible as visible in the code. So my first line would be something like this: visit, load, my file name, and the different columns available in the file. Then I'm grouping this file by URL. After that, for each group, I'm generating URL and the counts of visit. Then what I then, sorry. Then what I did is I loaded the URL info and then I joined both of them and grouped it to a category and generated top 10. So then I loaded URL info. I joined both the test set, that is visit counts and URL info and URL info based on URL. Then I grouped this visit counts by category and I generated top 10 and dumped it. So this is 3 and 3, 6, 7, 8 line code and everything is done for us. If I have to write it into MapReduce, this big is the code. So there are different syntaxes I will use which are used in this program, like load, which basically works on the file, or store, which basically works over the file. This is a schema. So the most advantage or the most powerful feature of Pig is the schema is optional. So if you would have written that Hive program which I've given to you, it would have been very troublesome task for you to write all the columns in the CSV file and expose that as a table. But in Pig, schema is optional, or it can be achieved dynamically. I'll explain you how that can be achieved dynamically. But that's the most powerful feature of the Pig. Then we can apply UDF. So here top is a UDF which is applied onto the visit counts to generate the top 10 URLs. So the code is pretty simple. I hope you are able to understand it. It's just the syntax which you will take some time to digest, but it's pretty simple what we did to generate top 10 URLs. We loaded the file. We grouped it by URL. For each URL, we just generated a URL and the count of the visits. Then we loaded the another file. We joined both of them based on the URL. We grouped them by category and generated top 10. So how that is compiled at the backend? This is one mapper. This is a reducer associated to that mapper. This is another mapper and reducer, and this is third mapper and reducer. These three map reduce code will be generated at the backend for you when I'll compile or run this program, and everything would be transparent to me. I'll quickly see the result rather than writing such a big map reduce code. So does this making sense? A little bit, getting it?
Yeah.
Prabjeet?
Hello. Yeah. Can you show the MapReduce program again?
MapReduce में you won't be able to see it anything. That's just a pic. That's just a pic. You won't be able to see it properly. That's just half of the code and a pic. You won't be able to visualize anything over here. I just wanted to show you that three MapReduce code which you have to write up, and that will be pretty big code which you have to write up just for that thing. So let's look at one more problem statement before we move on to the syntaxes of the comma of this language. So another similar problem, I have the user data and I have the data again of clickstream, basically when user visited any website. So my problem statement is I need to figure out top 10 most visited pages or websites based on the user ages. That is the user who lies in the age group of 18 to 25. So so basically, if I have to do that thing, I would be having that one is a user data set, that is users and their corresponding age, and another would be clickstream data. So I'll be loading the clickstream data. I'll be loading the users data. I'll be filtering the users based on the age. I am only interested in the users who are between 8 to 25 because I have to just find out top 5 most visited pages based on user age of 18 to 25. So I'll load the users, I'll filter them based on the age of lying between 18 to 25. I'll load the pages, that is the clickstream data. I'll join them both of them based on the user ID. I'll group that by URL. I'll generate the count of the clicks. I'll order them by clicks and take out the top 5. Okay, this is the data flow diagram for this problem statement. So if I look at the big code associated to this, I'll write load the
What
file
is the
name.
problem statement for this one? What is the problem statement for this one?
Problem statement is I have to figure out top 5 most visited pages by the users lying in age group of 18 to
Oh,
25.
okay.
So the pig program or pig code will look something like this. I will load the users. I will filter them on the age. I will load the click stream data. I will join them based on the user ID. I'll group them on the URL. I'll generate the count, order it, and generate top 5. Limit is just top 5. So if I look at the real and this is how the MapReduce code will be generated up at the backend. So this will be your one job, map and reducer, another job, third job. So these three jobs will be triggered at the backend. Again, all transparent to you. You will just get the data. So the code will look something like this. I loaded users. What is big storage? Don't worry, I'll explain it. Filter the users lying in between this age group. I loaded the click stream data. I joined them. There's a filtered and pages by user ID. So the user ID over here was name and user ID over here was user. So the names are different use why. Then group them by URL. For each grouped, I generated the count and ordered it and limited top 5 and generated it. Any questions? So let's try to run it. Here I am. अच्छा प्रभजी वो चल गई थी मशीन या अभी भी नहीं चली है?
ubuntu है और रीस्टार्ट करके वो विंडोज चलता है। तो बस वो ऑफिस का मेरा ubuntu में रहता है, उस चक्कर में ना समझ नहीं पाया। मैं
अच्छा
देखूंगा, कल
ठीक है,
देखूंगा।
उसको एक बार उसको हटा के चला लो यार, वो चल जाएगी, उसमें कुछ प्रॉब्लम होनी नहीं चाहिए। एक बार ट्राई कर लो क्योंकि तुम्हारे में रैम कम है तो मैं नया वाला वर्जन इससे मैंने शेयर नहीं करा, और रैम इतनी है नहीं तो मैं नया वाला वर्जन तो वैसे ही रुलाएगा तुम्हारे लैपटॉप को। उसके एक बार वो हटा के उससे एक बार दोबारा चला के देख लेना, अगर फिर भी नहीं चले तो एक बार मुझे कॉल कर लेना, विल
ठीक।
सिट अप टुगेदर।
सर।
ओके सो ओके okay, so this is the program which I was showing to you. I loaded the users, filtered them, join them, grouped it, some top 5 and stored that top 5. So before running this, okay, let's run it first, and then while the time is running up, I'll show you the data sets also. So to run any pig code, either you can go to the pig console, which is called grunt, that is a voice made by the pig, or you can directly run it with the command called pig minus f, similar to hive minus f. So if I just type pig and go to the pig or grunt console, so I'm at the pig console and I'll just try to run this program. So while the time it's running up, so now it started running up. By the time it's running up, let me show you the mm, data. So these are the pages. This is the user ID. This is the page name. So Naveen visited google.com, Prabha visited designpathshala.com, and so on. So it's pretty small data set. Comma separated, click stream data, just 2 columns. And this is the user data. So username and the corresponding age, username and the corresponding age. So what we did was I loaded the users data, I loaded the pages data. Before that, I filtered the users data and then joined both the data sets, grouped it. So it's still running up. It will generate 2-3 jobs, and then we'll get the result set. So see, for each stage is creating the ZAR. This is the tracking URL. So by the time it's running up, so load is a keyword used to load the file. Filter is a keyword used to filter up the things. Join is a keyword used to join two different data sets. Group is a keyword used to group anything based on any of the column. For each is basically like a for loop. So here I'm saying is for each line, or basically a for loop will be generated on all the data in the grouped variable, and for each line do this thing. So where from this group magically comes up, I'll explain you and in some time. So what I'm saying is generate group comma count of joint as clicks, and then I'm using that clicks descending order. So order by, as you all know what is order by, and the limit is a kind of limit limiting the top 5 lines. I think second or third job is running up. Out of the 3 which I explained you, what are the 3 jobs which will be generated by this? So you can see मेरे को तीन if I would have write in Hive also, I have to create 2 different tables. On table then I have to put the join, all those things. Over here is just 6 line of the code and everything is done for me. It has generated at the back end all the 3 MapReduce codes which are required for me. Everything is transparent to me, nothing required, and everything would be done up. So creating the third job. Number of splits equals to 1 because data sets were very small. Total paths to process is 1. File input format text. The URL to track the job. So it's almost done. We'll let it run. We'll come back to it in a minute. So let's look at the different data types available with Pig. So not only data types, let's look at some other features of the Pig language. So basically, this is a language where you can't have cyclic loops. You can only have DAGs. So you can't have a loop kind of thing. You can just do a cyclic graphs only. If else kind of thing is not possible. Mostly used for data pipelines, data coming out of first phase, going to second phase, to third phase, and so on. So if you look at the code which you ran up, and data coming out from the users is then used in the filter variable. Filter variable uses the pages. This is used as a join. So basically it's kind of chaining of the data set. So it's mostly used with the chaining of the data sets, data pipelines, and pretty powerful with unstructured data. Even if you don't know the structure of the data, you can write big program and can run your queries on top of the data. So a schema is optional, as I told you previously also. That's pretty powerful thing, and give you more control over the thing and supports various data types. I'll just show you the data types on the next slide. Then it also supports user-defined function, that is UDF, what I shown you in the Hive part. So similarly here also we can create UDFs. So here is the data type. Before that, let's look at one more thing. Why it's called pig, such a unique name. So basically, what Yahoo says is there's a philosophy behind calling it pig. So pig can eat anything. Similarly, this pig as a language can eat any kind of the data, be it structured, be it unstructured, be semi-structured. Similarly, pig can live anywhere, loves to live in your dirty environment. So similarly, this pig, it is intended to process any kind of data, be it tidy data or be it untidy data. Pig is domestic animal and can be tamed. Similarly, pig as a language can be pretty easily tamed up and controlled by the users. And pig fly is a kind of saying which says it and you can do anything. And similarly, this pig as a language can process your data very quickly. So this is a philosophy behind calling it pig. These are the data would be there. Yeah. So data is generated. Let's look at the data. Generated data. What was the path I gave? Pig user UDP pig output top 5 sites. UDP pig. So I got the data, website name, and the number of clicks. You people are with me, or am I going very fast?
No, I'm with you.
Prabjeet is still sleeping or awake? Okay. Okay. So the different data types supported over here are similar to any other language, int, long, float, all those kind of thing. And three interesting thing is tuple, bag, and map. So tuple is a set of fields. So it's something like this. It's similar fields 19, 2, 3 kind of thing. So tuple is a set of fields, and bag is a collection of tuples. Or bag can have n number of tuples, and map is just a key and value pair. So these are three complex data types supported by pig, other than the most the common ones. So we'll show you the tuple, bag, and map also in later on in this session. So I'll show you this tuple and bag in the next few examples, which I'll show you for the different in the code part. Okay, so from here we'll look at the detailed syntaxes. Different syntaxes, schema, why schema is optional, and then different syntaxes we're talking about one by one. Okay, so before that, do you want to take 5 minutes break or shall we continue? Okay, okay, ठीक है.
I'm good either way, मिराज. कंटिन्यू कर भी सकते हो या ब्रेक भी ले सकते हो, जो भी मर्जी है. Let's take a break, I think.
Okay, so a statement is basically operation or a line in the data flow. So as I showed you in the program, so each line was basically a statement, and each statement is normally assigned to a variable. There's no limit to number of statements which you write in your code or in your pig file. There's no limit on that. So each line is basically called a statement, and each statement output is normally assigned to a variable. And you normally use that variable in the next line, and so and so, and that's how your data pipeline is basically created. As I told you, schema is optional, and that gives pigs, it's basically that makes pigs extremely powerful. So how schema is optional is basically something like this. So a schema basically makes it similar to, so it's suggested to give a schema to the data which you are loading up. Otherwise, it creates confusion while you are writing your code. However, that is optional and that makes it powerful. But giving a schema to your data which you're loading up makes it similar to any other relational database language, and you can pretty easily use those columns from your file in your next statements. So, but how that is optional, let's look at that part, and how you can change the data types on the fly kind of thing. So let's say I have a file which has two columns. One is your char array, that is name, and the integer. So it's something like this. Uh, like data. So I have the username and the integer. So this is a file which I want to load up. So what I can say is load file name, and as over here, if I'm giving as, then I'm defining the dedicated schema of the file. So I've given the column name, that is name of the user, and the age of the user, that is of integer type. So if I give this thing and I say in the next statement filter a by age not equals to 20, because age is of integer type, I can apply not equals to kind of 20, and that will run extremely fine. So let's try it out. So what I'll do is I'll open another console. So you can see A is loaded. So if I say describe A, so it has two columns, name and age. Now if I say, oops, अरे यार कोई बात नहीं, दो बार हो गया. So now B is there. You can see I have given B is equals to filter A not equals to basically 20. बट यहाँ पे इफ यू कैन सी मेरे कोई कुछ चला नहीं, कोई प्रोसेस नहीं चला, कुछ नहीं चला. सो बेसिकली एनीथिंग or any of the process is just the compilation which happens when I give the statements. Nothing else happens. The real processing happens when I start dumping the data or storing the data. So if I say dump,
Can you repeat that one more time?
so here over
When
here you see I given A, I given this command B is equals to this, but यहाँ पे कोई processing नहीं हुई. उससे पहले मैंने A is equals to this दिया था, कोई processing नहीं हुई, just compiled up. There is no processing which happens. The real processing happens when I really start storing the data or dumping the data. So there are two commands, store or dump. I'll explain you those things in next few slide. So till the time I don't give it dump or store the data command, it do not do any processing. So if I say dump B, then only it will start the processing. Now it will get the MapReduce code and everything for me. So it will let it do. But another way to load this file is I can even call name as char array and age as char array. So in that case, all the integers of age will be converted to character. And in such a scenario, I can just filter age by not equals to 20, and here over here I'm giving the quotes because that is a string. So it will give the same output. And third way is I do not even define the schema. I just say load A. So if I said load A, then I can refer different columns in the file just by giving $0, $1, and so and so. So here age is a second column, so I just say starting with 0. So $1 not equals to 20, and it will do the same thing what is done by these two things. So this is how you can even basically do not define the schema on the file and you can work on the file. So if you
Viraj,
try to, yeah,
in no schema case, age is actually an integer type, right?
age
And
is
here you
actually a
specify
correct char array type. So that's the reason you can see मैंने यहाँ पे
char.
quotes में दिया है. So why
नहीं,
it's char?
age तो int है ना.
नहीं मैंने यहाँ पे
नहीं,
schema नहीं दिया ना तो उसको क्या पता int है वो.
अच्छा. तो बाय डिफॉल्ट वो क्या रहे होता है.
नहीं by default char array नहीं होता. Just wait for a minute or so. I'll explain you in detail on this slide. So by default it starts with char array only, safest assumption, but how it's take care I'll explain you on this slide. So here it will be assumed as a char array and then I can apply operation like a char array on that thing. So see top 5 और जो भी वो filtered user आ गए age के base पे. So if I don't give it anything, so over here using pig storage is basically a command which says that is my file is comma separated. If my file is comma separated, so by default if your file is control is separated, you don't have to give any pig uh, storage. But other than that, sorry, if your file is tab separated, you don't have to give anything. But other than that, you have to give pig storage, and that you have to tell what is the separator for the fields. So here I have to set, because my file was comma separated, I have to explicitly give him using pig storage comma. That means it will assume anything separated by comma is the next column. So over here I have not given any schema like this. So if I run this thing also, it will run perfectly fine. So अरे यार दो दो बार क्लिक क्यों हो रहा है. And then what I said is I am just using $1, and even if I say dump b now, it will give me same results. So it will take a minute or so to run up. So let's look at another data set, dividends. I'll just open this thing, dividends file, by the time that's running up. So basically this file has 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. That is the stock, exchange, stock name, the date on which dividend was paid, and the amount of percentage of dividend was paid, paid on the share value. So this is a dividends file. So if I have to load this file, I have to give exchange, symbol, date, and dividend as a float. So if I give something like this, in that case, pick expects or data have 4 fields. If it has more than that, it will just truncate those fields while you're processing the variable called dividends, because you have explicitly given 4 fields. If it has less fields, it will append the next columns as null. Basically, it will assume those the next columns are null and not and missing in the data sets. So if you have given explicitly 4 fields, it will always assume you have 4 fields. अगर कम है तो वो उनको null कर देगा, अगर ज्यादा है तो उनको truncate कर देगा. So I can even write the same statement as something like this. I do not give the data types without giving the data types. So now pig will assume the data types for me. So in such a scenario, pig will try to assume the data types for me, or I could not have even given these things also. So in that case also, I could have ran the same the things on this data file. So how? Let's look at this thing. So let's say I've loaded the file as NYSC daily. So NYSC is a different file. Let me show NYSC daily. So here there are more than 3 columns or 4 columns. Basically, first is again your exchange. There is a stock name, that is the mm, traded date, the min traded price, max traded price, or average traded price, and all those things. Volume of the trade and the closing traded price. So this is the trade price of any stock. So I just loaded the file. I have not given any information about the columns on the file. Let's see how pics try to depict the data types based on the operation which I do on the file. So pig will try to depict the best suitable data type of a column just based on the operation which I am doing on the column. So in the next line, what I'm doing is I am creating a new variable called calcs, which is dependent on the daily variable. So for each daily, for each is a kind of for each statement which will run on each and every data line of this daily. So for each daily, it's like a for loop in your Java. So for each daily, generate, do these things. $7, that means the eighth column. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth column. That is the volume column. Generate $7 divided by 1000. So if I'm doing some division operation on this column, and the division is by 1000, it assumes safely that this column type is of integer because I'm doing some division with integer. And that will generate the outputs, that will typecast 7 to integer and will do the operation. Then I'm doing $3 into 100.0. That is a double kind of thing. If you look at the fourth column, first, second, third, and fourth, so that is a kind of double. If I'm doing it multiplication with 100, it will assume that thing as a double and will typecast $3 that is the fourth column with double and will do the operation.
But you can also divide a float by the integer, right?
Yes. Sorry.
In the $7 column, so I'm assuming you're assuming that it divided by 1000, it makes it integer. But what if it is a float column? Then you can divide by 1000, right?
Yes, I can divide it.
तो उसमें उसको इंटीजर क्यों कंसिडर करेगा मतलब?
So basically, it tries to uh, do the guess based on the operation which you are doing on the column, because you have
Okay,
not defined
ठीक
the
है.
data type. You have not defined the data type
Hmm.
of the data, so it tries to assume it. So based on the
Okay,
operation which you are doing
okay,
up,
ठीक है.
it will try to
Hmm.
assume कि क्या data type होगा, because you are playing with that column with integer, so it's assume you that is a kind of integer column
Okay.
and will do the calculation for you. Then on $0, I am applying substring kind of thing, so it will assume that is a string. That is the first column. So I am doing the substring kind of thing. And the interesting thing is $6 minus $3. So I've just given a minus operation. So here it tries to play a little safe. So rather than assuming that is a type of int, it will assume that's a type, basically the best suitable type which can fit any kind of numbers. So that is floating point, which can fit your integers, doubles. So it tries to play safe and assume these columns are of type float and will generate the outputs as float. So if I try to run this thing, let's try to run this thing. So I've loaded the same file. So as the file was step separated, you can see यहाँ पे मैंने वो नहीं दिया है using pig storage, because file was step separated, so it by the default separator is step only. So in this word, any of the default separator is step only. And then let's use this calc. So see, it tries to implicit cast to int 1 times, to double 3 times, to char array 4 times. Let's do a so see, it has assumed the data types of different variables. First इसने int को assume करा, second इसने double assume करा क्योंकि मैंने double type का operation किया था, third इसने char array, and fourth is a double. Because double can fit your integers also. Now if I dump this, so it will again take a minute or so to run up. So, but what I wanted to tell you people is, it's even if you don't define any schema, you can play with the data sets, and you have to just based on the just based on the operation which you are doing on the data set, it will try to assume the best suitable data type, and will run your operations based on that expected data type of the. If it's not able to typecast that thing to the corresponding data type, it will just convert your data to null and it will not give any error. So अगर यहाँ पे $7 डिवाइड बाय 1000 कर रहा हूँ और ये कोई एक रो के अंदर मेरे पास यहाँ पे स्ट्रिंग आ गई, so it will just convert that to null and will just print null for you, rather than giving integer type cannot typecast to integer kind of errors. So see, ये आ गया आपका क्या कहते हैं हिंट, ये आ गया आपका डबल, या आपके सब स्ट्रिंग में मैंने केवल एक निकाला था, तो ये आ गया आपका वो कैरेरे वाला वो, और ये आ गया आपका पूरा फ्लोटिंग पॉइंट नंबर. So does that make sense?
Yeah, conceptually, yes. We'll have to take time to understand it. Definitely. चला के देखना पड़ेगा खुद से.
Yeah, definitely.
कोई Miraj, do you have an example where it does the unstructured data type जो कि
So कुछ भी unstructured हो data type में basically so basically if you are creating columns out of the data, so आपका कुछ divider होगा which you have to take care of, be it comma, be it anything, pipe or anything. Or if it's totally a file kind of thing that you would be running kind of counts or looking out for particular words or something like that.
okay.
Right? Otherwise आपका कुछ डेटा में से आपको you are basically if you are doing something with the data, उसमें से आपको कुछ निकालना पड़ेगा किसी किसी तरीके से. So the project which I'll give you, that will give you more little idea कि उसको साथ कैसे प्ले करना है, बट आपको डेटा में कुछ स्ट्रक्चर निकाल के ही आप उसके अंदर कुछ एनालिटिक्स कर सकते हो. all the all that's unstructured data, but you have to figure out some analytics. Even if that's a video, you would be having some algorithm to process the video, so you will give that algorithm as an input to your program. अगर आपकी ऑडियो फाइल भी है तो you would have some algorithm to read that or convert that audio to a text file or something. You have to figure out what is the song name or something based on the just of the audio, and you will be using that algorithm to figure out analytics out of the data.
Okay.
Right? मतलब on any of the data you have to figure out कि उसको उसके ऊपर क्या प्रोसेसिंग करनी है. अगर रॉ टेक्स्ट फाइल है तो यू वुड बी फिगरिंग आउट कि ये वाला वर्ड का एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है, या फिर वर्ड की क्या कहना है वर्ड द इंडेक्स बनाना है, इस टाइप का कुछ करोगे मतलब. या फिर आपका ईमेल्स है तो ईमेल्स के अंदर से आपको कुछ पर्टिकुलर फ्रेजेस निकालने होंगे, या फिर कुछ बेसिकली यू विल बी डूइंग समथिंग व्हिच वेयर यू हैव टू फिगर आउट कि उसके अंदर क्या 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 लॉजिक है टू जॉइन अप द थिंग्स और to figure out the data out of your text.
Hmm.
And the data set which I'll give you at the final project would be just a minute. Let me open that. If you have raised that question. So as you've just raised the question, I'll just show you the sample data set which I've got for your final project. So here you can see this is a data coming from अच्छा ऐसे समझ में भी नहीं आएगा यार ये data. Uh, but I'll just give you a quick glimpse of this data. We'll look at this later on. You can see my screen, right?
I'm seeing there's a assignment sheet.
Yes. So the data is, you can see the picture on the screen now, some data structure picture.
Yeah, it reads data structure. The basic data structure is the forum has nodes.
Yeah.
All nodes has body.
Yes. So basically this is the data coming from one of the forum. So basically the forum is basically user can ask any question on the forum. Then another user can answer the question. Some users can even comment on the question. Some users can even comment on the answers. And each of the thing is associated with the corresponding user ID. And there's a tag whenever any question is given, there's a tag associated with the question. So this is how this is the data which is coming out of a forum. So कोई क्वेश्चन है उसके का उस क्वेश्चन को whenever user places any question on the forum, there is a tag which is associated to the question. Any other user can come and comment on the question. Some other user can even come and answer the question. Some other users can come and even comment on the answer which is given by some other user. So this is a forum data which is coming up. So if you look at the data comes like this. Some user ID आता है, उसका question आता है या उसका answer आता है, उसके associated tags आते हैं, कुछ आता है. And data के अंदर ही data is separated by quotes, but data के अंदर quotes भी आ रहे हैं. So this is line which is started over here and ended over here. So multi line में भी जा रहा है वो. Then ये question type का था क्योंकि question है. इसमें answers type के भी होंगे, कुछ comment type के भी होंगे. So ये तो मैंने केवल 2 lines खोली अभी data की. Data is pretty big. So this is a data, although it has some structured associated with this, but now this data is practically unstructured. So based on the data, you have to figure out कि उसमें से कैसे information निकालनी है, and then you basically run your programs on it.
Okay.
So we'll look at this thing in detail when I'll give the problem. But as you've raised the question, so I just shown you quickly.
तो
So
इसमें मेन डिफरेंस क्या है कि इसमें स्कीमा नहीं होता है. दैट्स अबाउट इट, राइट? हाइप से
स्कीमा भी नहीं होता है, प्लस अगर आपने हाइव का कल वो प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट चला होगा तो आपकी आपकी उसमें टेबल के अंदर मोर देन 15 कॉलम्स है. ईच कॉलम का आपने बनाया टेबल बनाई, देन ओनली यू विल बी एबल टू रन इट. यहाँ पे मेरे को केवल लोड फाइल करना है एंड दूसरी लोड फाइल करना है, ज्वाइन बाय $1 एंड $2 करना है एंड आई विल जस्ट गेट आउट. सो डेटा में कोई स्ट्रक्चर नहीं है तब भी यू कैन प्रीटी इजीली गेट इट आउट. एज आई टोल्ड यू ना कि मैंने अगर 4 कॉलम डिफाइन करे हैं तो उसके आगे जितने भी कॉलम है आई डू नॉट वरी अबाउट. बट हाइव में मेरे को प्रॉपर स्ट्रक्चर देना पड़ता है फाइल का बिफोर रनिंग एनी क्वेरी. यहाँ पे मेरे को केवल 4 कॉलम से काम है और उसके आगे हो सकता है जंग भी आ रहा हो, सो आई विल जस्ट इग्नोर इट. So
ओके.
although your data is not structured or properly structured, indeed I would say, you can run your queries or optimization on that thing. Basically you can run your program on that thing.
ओके.
So the program which you written in Hive, just try to now write that thing with pig. You will feel the difference.
Okay.
So basically, when it tries to depict the data types, it will always start assuming with the byte array because anything can be typecasted to byte array, and then based on the operation which you are doing up, it tries to safely assume what is the best suitable data type based on the operation which you are doing on the column. So as I told you, it will just throw the warning. It will not fail your program if it's not able to typecast to the corresponding data type which it has assumed based on the operation which you are doing on the column. Or even if you have given the data type for a column while loading that file, and the data type is not associated or not matching with the data, it will just convert the data to null and it will not stop your program in between. It will run a whole processing logic. It will not fail your processing logic. So let's say this is my data, year, the temperature, and something quality है शायद तो quality. So let's say this is my data where year, the temperature of that year and the quality of the temperature recorded kind of thing. So I can load that thing is something like this. Load the file name as year as char array. So year को I'm loading as char array, temperature को int and quality को int. So temperature is int, quality is int. Now if I say dump record, you can see this one erroneous record of E became null over here. You have to figure out the corrupted records from a file. All I have to do is corrupted records because the filter records by temperature is null, and dump corrupted records, it will give me the corrupted record. So out of the output data, if I have to figure out the corrupted records, I can just filter them on where something is null, and that will give me the corrupted records in my data set.
Okay. So, do you have to save necessarily if you just say that only the first line grunt records equal to load input type and text and don't say as year as char array if you ignore that second line
So
and then say dump record?
in that case, if I have not given anything, and I'm not doing any operation, it will safely assume that is a byte error char array, and then E will also come over here because वो char array लेगा उसको. क्योंकि मैंने यहाँ पे इसको कहा था एक्सप्लिसिटली इंटीजर है, तो अब ये इंटीजर में टाइपकास्ट नहीं कर पाया E को. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. This thing everyone face problem when they try to run first time. So please just listen properly. Otherwise, when you will try to run your first big program, you will waste half an hour, 1 hour just because of this silly mistake. So there's something case sensitive in this word, something not case sensitive. Well, Hive was all everything case insensitive, but here there are few things which are case sensitive. So keywords which we use are case insensitive. So I can write load as load also. But the field names which you are given to a statement or the statement which is associated to a field, those things are case sensitive. So this A is not equivalent to this A. So normally people make mistake and they waste hours कि ये क्यों नहीं आ रहा डेटा क्यों नहीं आ रहा A को missing क्यों बता रहा है वो all those kind of things. And then UDFs, user defined functions, are again case sensitive. So again there is a major problem which people face, वो count को छोटा लिखने लग जाते हैं and वो data नहीं आता है, those kind of things. So UDFs and field names or variables which you have created are case sensitive. The keywords which are there or the big native keywords are all case insensitive. So comment, it's pretty simple, like you give the comments in Java and SQL word. So you can give comment a single line by this. You can comment multiple lines by this, similar to your Java. So this is a comment. There's a multi-line comment, there's an n-line comment. Okay, so let's look at different functions: eval, filter, compare, comparison, load, restore functions. Mm-hmm. So till what time we are available? Are we available till 9:30 or till 10?
I am available till
मतलब for
can
one
be
hour.
in your time.
For 1 hour. Prabjit, are you available for
Yeah.
1 hour or half an hour?
Till 9:15.
9?
15.
9:15.
हाँ जी.
Okay. ठीक है फिर we'll quickly cover up how whatever we'll cover up in next 25 minutes. ठीक? Okay. Then I'll not take any break. Okay. So basically there are a lot of built-in functions which I'll show you, and other than that there are a lot of user-defined functions. And there's a piggy bank.jar which is already there with the pig, which by default comes with a pig that contains a lot of user-defined functions and a lot of user functions which you apply on your strings or dates and all those kind of things. So a lot of the functions are implemented in that piggy bank.jar. Okay. So we looked at the store previously. We stored the data or dump the data. So there are two things. Dump is basically dumping on the console. Store is storing it somewhere into HDFS. So and any processing on the data really happens when you use these two keywords, store or dump. Other than that, you write anything that will just compile your statement. It will not do any processing on the data. It will just do the compilation, nothing else. So store, and this is my variable name into the क्या कहते हैं SDFS में जहाँ पे लिखना है the location. And using pig storage will ensure my output is comma separated now. Dump, the variable name will dump it on the screen. So if you remember, I just dumped that thing onto the screen when I run that thing. Dump. Operators, you can apply load, store, filter, join, for each, generate. We have just seen those things in the example. I'll show you now in detail what these things do. So before going into that detail, this example will again give you a little glimpse about this operator. So I've stored a into the file called out using pig storage colon. So if I get that file, the file will look something like this. So that file has basically A has three columns. Uh, so basically, I just wanted to show you how the dump happens or how basically the store happens. Then let's say A is something like this, has three columns. Then I'll just remove these characters. So let's say A has three columns. जो Then I used B as for each A generate something like this. So for each, as I told you, will run on each line. So what I'm doing is for each A, generate $0, that is the first column, $2 plus 1, that is the third column, and a constant, that is just a constant variable. So if I dump B, it will be something like this. So that is the first column, $2 plus 1, that is the third column. So 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 1, 4, 2 plus 1, 3, and so on. And third column is the constant, so constant. So this is how your for each works. Join. So A is something like this, 2, 4, 3, 1, and this thing, dump B is, so B is something like this. So if I say join A, then A का कौन सा कॉलम यूज करना है ज्वाइन के क्राइटेरिया के लिए, एंड B का कौन सा कॉलम यूज करना है ज्वाइन के क्राइटेरिया। सो B का सेकंड कॉलम यूज कर रहे हैं, A का फर्स्ट कॉलम यूज कर रहे हैं। सो A का फर्स्ट कॉलम 2, 4, 3, 1 and B का सेकंड कॉलम 2, 4, 0, 3, 2, 1. So this is the inner join which I am doing up. So if I say dump C, so 2 A का आया, 2 tie, B का आया zo 2, फिर 2 आया tie A का, एंड B के अंदर आता hang 2, so 2 tie hang 2, एंड 3 एंड 4 0 के लिए कोई मैचिंग नहीं थी एंड 1 के लिए कोई मैचिंग नहीं थी, 0 एंड 1 मिस हो गए। सो दिस इज हाउ योर ज्वाइन हैपेंस इंटरनली, और बेसिकली इनर ज्वाइन। Describe, I just use it. Explain and illustrate, I'll explain you. So let's look at the complex data type पे देखते हैं हम। Where's that gone? Filters. Okay. इसका डेटा टाइप डिफाइन नहीं है। Cat. Yeah, इसका डेटा टाइप डिफाइंड है। So I'll use this thing. So I've loaded that NYC daily only, and these are data types which is given: exchange, carrier, stock carrier, date, open price, high, low, close, volume, and adjusted close price. Okay, then let's say cat 4. So I did, okay, we'll just do some operation, then this explain will make more sense. So in the next slide, I'll do some operation and then I'll explain it. So describe, I've already shown you, DSCRIB, describe, and the variable name will describe the variable. DSCRIB. So exchange carrier array, that's described by variable, but this will make sense when we are depicting some variable from another one and another one from another one from another from another one. So in that scenario, it will make sense. So in the next slide, I'll show you how that will make sense. So let's look at the for each. So for each basically runs on the each and every data of your each and every line of your data. So what I did is for each prices generate close minus open. So what it will do is it will, so let's try to run it. Gain is equals to for each variable name is daily. For each daily generate close minus open. So this is a this basically what is the difference between the closing price and the open price? Generate. So here I've used close and open. Yeah, close minus OP and open. So now I said describe. Describe gain. So gain is a single column. Close minus open float. Now if I say ILLUSTRAT illustrate gain. So now see. So in such a scenario, what it'll do is it just try to get some sample data out of all the associated variables or parent variables of gain, and will give me the sample data sets from the parent as well as the sample data set which will come out of that sample data to the gain. So इसने एक सैंपल डेटा उठाया डेली का, उस सैंपल डेटा के बेस पे डीएन की क्या वैल्यू आएगी एंड इट जस्ट इलस्ट्रेटेड गेन फॉर मी, हाउ गेन विल लुक फॉर मी. सो गेन का फ्लोट है एंड इसका आउटपुट ये आएगा इस क्लोज माइनस ओपन के लिए. So Illustrate helps you a lot when you are writing your program and debugging it. So if you have written 20 line program and you have to debug it कि कहाँ क्या आ रहा है, कहाँ पे क्या आ रहा है, so you can just illustrate your in between variables and that will give you the corresponding values and उससे ऊपर वाले variables देगा. So that will be pretty easy for you to debug up the things. And explain is similar to your explain. So explain I forgot to tell you in the Hive part. So explain is so if you have to explain or look at the query ka execution plan, you can just say explain and write your whole query after explain. That will give you the execution plan of the execution plan of the query, how the query will run. Similarly, explain over here will explain me how this gain will be calculated. So this is how your gain will be calculated. First, your process will be loads up, and then you will minus it. So this will give you the explanation of how the gain will be calculated. So again, this will be helping you if you're writing big program and you have to look at key variable कैसे आ रहा है, should I is there any optimization which I can do up and all those kind of things. So explain will help you in that scenario. So Prabhjit, do let me know when you have to go. We'll stop at that point.
Sure.
Okay. So these are the few of the shortcuts which you can apply. So dot open means it will generate all the columns in the beginning, or it will assign all the columns from your prices to beginning which are till open, basically before open and including open. So beginning will contain your exchange symbol, date and open. So for each prices generate dot open, मतलब इसके सारी rows पढ़ेगा, ये वाले columns उठाएगा और beginning को associate करेगा. Beginning will have exchange symbol, date and open. Middle, so this is again a shortcut. Open dot close मतलब open से close तक के जो columns हैं. So open, high, low and close will come to middle and end. So volume dot बाद में लगाया है, तो volume के बाद के column including volume. So volume and adjusted will be the columns in the end. So if I show you this thing, why the hell double click बार बार हो रहा है यार. चल कोई बात नहीं, let it be. So what was the variable name I gave? Daily. Okay. So now if I say describe beginning, so say it has exchange, and now the variable name automatically came up from the pre-parent and the data type. मेरा right click को क्या हो रहा है? So it took some sample data set. Out of that, beginning has NY6 EMS, date and the open, because beginning was dot open, and similarly other things. Making sense?
Miraj, one thing. Is there any graphical tools available for, query the data and all?
Graphical tool, you use the Hue UI. There you can browse the data as well as
Query.
you can write the pig and hive queries over there. That will show you the data sets on the UI browser.
Okay, okay.
So here you can just go to the Hive console, write a query. Here you can go to the pick console, write your things, execute it. It will show you the things over here. You can even syntax check over here. Filter, as the name says, you can filter up the things. So if I say filter divs by symbol matches this thing, so regular expression similar to a Java regular expression. So it will filter only those things from divs which where symbol matches CM, basically starts with CM. So if I show you that thing, so what it is, I just loaded the NYSE dividends as div, and here I've used not rather than matches. I've used not matches. So यार मेरे राइट क्लिक को क्या हो गया है? So see, so now it's intelligently took two data sets and shown me one out of that because that was not matching criteria. So by or not clear not लगाना होगा basically. Not clear to apply not. Group. Okay. So group, just try to understand or digest this thoroughly. Group basically group of similar things based on the grouping criteria which you give to it. So I have loaded this only two columns out of NYC daily. बाकी सब वो it will just exclude up. So I've just loaded two columns exchange comma stock. Now I say group daily by stock. So as similar stocks will be bucketed together. So let's look at this. So I've taken only two columns right now. Then what I said is group. So I gave, चलो कोई बात नहीं. So even if I reassign the variable, the next value will be taken up. So मैंने group को दो बार दे दिया. So then the latest will be the older will be basically overridden by the newer. So now if I say describe describe group. So you see यहाँ पे हमारी एक वो बन गई, क्या कहते हैं, बैग बन गया, एक टपल बन गया, बैग के अंदर टपल बन गया. So your group, whenever I group something, so if I here I said is group daily by stock, so stock per group होगा. So there will be a key with each and every bag, and that will be basically a stock, but that will always named as group only. So key जो बनेगी वो always named as group only. So this is a group which is a key, and then your all these symbols associated to that stock will come inside in the bag in tuples. So if I say ILLS illustrate group, so this will give you what exactly is happening. So these are the two data which came from my daily. Rest all from the daily other columns are excluded because I've just loaded two. So other are excluded as I told you. अगर मैंने दो column define करूंगा तो बाकी सबको वो हटा देगा. So इसने दो ही लिए. NYC and CI is a symbol. So you can see the key for row becomes group, and that key will be your the grouping criteria that was symbol name. So symbol and all the rows associated to that group. So NYCCI, NYCCI, and that is stored in a bag. And each bag contains a tuple. That tuple is of type daily because I am grouping daily. So tuple is of that bag is of type daily, and tuple contains your individual columns of the daily. Complex, or shall I re-explain? हर टपल डेली टाइप का हो गया आपका, टपल के अंदर डेली के सारे वेरिएबल्स आ गए, एंड ग्रुप का जो की होगी वो दैट विल बी operator on which you are grouping by. Here I have grouped it on stock, so group is of type stock, but that will be named always as group.
Okay. थोड़ा समझना पड़ेगा इसको हमें.
Yes, you have to play with it.
So I think we should stop here. What do you think? If we have to, anyways, Prabjit has to go in next 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay, sure. So,
And I
but
wanted to talk about this next class.
just let ओके चलो फिर ग्रुप को डिटेल में नेक्स्ट क्लास में देंगे, ठीक है? ओके चलो.
So next class कब करना है?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow same time.
Same time is fine with me. Prabjit, same time is fine with me. Saturday morning.
Yeah. नहीं मॉर्निंग या इवनिंग?
मॉर्निंग में कर लेते हैं, शाम को घूम लेना.
ठीक है.
ठीक है, सेम टाइम कर लेते हैं, नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम टू मी.
8 से कर लेते हैं.
ठीक है, 8 से कर लेते हैं. Shekhar, after half an hour, that is your 19:30.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
ठीक है. So tomorrow 8 to 10:30.
8 to 10:30 India time, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
ठीक है. So just try to play with it. Pretty easy. I'll share the slides to with you so that you can play with it. Otherwise, you will not be able to play with it. So I'll just share the slide with you in next 5-10 minutes and try to play with it. Then we'll look at it, other things. ठीक है.
Okay.
Okay then. Chalo. Thank you. Good night and have a nice day.
Okay, thanks. Have a nice day too.